Okay, so good evening, everyone, once again. My name is Oluwaseyi, and we'll be starting the training right about now. So this is where we stopped last week. Sorry, this is where we stopped. Yeah, technically last week. That is referring to yesterday. So this is where we actually stopped yesterday. I know we touched on a few things, or we learned a few things yesterday. So we spent most of the time revising the things we've learned before, and then we moved on to data cleansing. So when we learned about, let me just quickly open it so we can be seeing it while I'm discussing it. So we learned about data cleansing, different ways to clean data, basically, and different functions you can use in cleaning your data when you notice error. So the first one we looked at was the clean function, which I explained. Okay, so the first one we learned about, I want to believe we can see my screen. Okay, can we all see my screen? I just need one response. Okay, so can we see my screen?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you for responding. Okay, yeah, so yesterday we learned about basically cleaning your data, and then I showed different scenarios um, under which you need to clean your data. So the first function we looked at was the clean function, which is this, which I explained that it's used to remove non-printable characters. And this was an example. So I mentioned basically it's equal to clean. When you see errors like this, equals to clean, you select and enter, and basically it removes the symbol that you have the non-printable character that you can see here. Yeah, they come in different forms. Most times you would see it like this. I said it often occurs when you're converting your data from one format to another format. So that was one of the things we looked at. The next we looked at was So the next we looked at was trim, the trim function, which is used in removing excess space. As we learned yesterday, we tried this. So equal to trim. So use trim when you're trying to remove any excess space. Enter, you can see that it has removed the excess space. So that's for trim, and then we moved on to the value function. So I explained that the value function is used to convert from text to value. Also, apart from using the value function, you can also use text to column to also carry out a conversion as well. So,
hello, sir. Good evening. I don't know if you can hear me. This is Success speaking. Please, can you be audible? Because I can't hear anything you're saying. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, actually, your voice is very loud. I think you might want to check your audio.
No, my volume is actually at the highest, but I can't hear you. Please just be audible, please.
Okay, so yeah, thank you very much.
But we can hear you clearly, sir.
All right, thank you. So please, Success, check your audio.
Okay.
Right, yes, thank you very much. And please, going forward, please let's drop it in the chat box. If you have a concern, please don't drop it in the chat box so I don't get distracted. Yes, but thank you, Success, for mention it. I'll try my best to also be audible, but please also check your network as well. Thank you very much. So going back to the recap, so after the trim, we looked at the value function. So I mentioned that the value function is used in converting from text to column. So apart from using the text, the value function, you can also use text to column. Text to values rather, sorry. So the value function is used to convert from text to value. Yeah, an example is equal to, so the function name, which is value, open brackets. So you select the text, and then once you click enter, or you close bracket and then click enter, and it converts. So this is how you convert. This is what we discussed about yesterday. Then I also mentioned that apart from using the text, sorry, the value function, you can also use the text to a column to convert. And how you do that is you select, you go to, sorry, 1 second. Yeah, okay. So you select your range, you go to your data, text to column, and yeah, finish, and basically it converts. So you can see that it's able to total because we've converted to value. Yes. And then we also went on to look at substitute. Substitute is used to replace a letter in a cell. Yeah, and we learned that. So we tried that yesterday. Substitute, and then reference the text, comma. What's the old text we want to replace? Let's say we want to replace P, but this time we want to replace P double quotes. Let's not forget, always with double quotes. Yep. Then a comma, then the new text, what do we want to replace P with? I know yesterday we replaced it with G. So let's try Q. Let's replace it with Q. So replace it with Q, comma. So I know yesterday we didn't try instance, but I explained the concept of instance. But let's give it a try. So I mentioned that the instance refers to a work point. So in a situation where you have P showing up more than once, at what instance do you want to replace the P? So in this case, we have P that's showing up 3 times. So we want to replace maybe just the second instance. So instead of having capsulas, we'll be having cap. So I'm replacing the P in capsulas to Q. So that will become the second instance. We're going to put a 2. And then we'll close our bracket and enter. And we can say that we have the P in capsulas, the P here in capsulas basically being changed to, sorry, bold, being changed to Q. So if you didn't get it, please, this is the code equal to substitute B9, then we replaced P, change it to Q, which is the old text, and then the new text, and then the instance, which is the second P that we want to replace. So that was what we did. So that was what we learned, and I know I mentioned, okay, I didn't mention this, but I hope we actually gave this a try. Then I went on to give us an assignment to actually do this, and I mentioned that we should change 2017 to 2019, and then also clean this data we have here. And to change 2017 to 2019, basically just to change the 7 to 9. Yeah, just to change the 7 to 9. So you can use the substitute. Let us give it a try. Substitute. This is O text, comma. What was it? So we're changing the 7. We're changing it to, what are we changing it to? 9. Yep. So we can see that that works. So with that, you can easily just change it to 9. And then if you want to replace it, you copy. So you can do this. Let's say you made an error. You just copy and you paste as value. Remember, you always paste as value. Yeah. So that's basically what you do. In this case, we can see that it's showing as text. So you might also want to convert as well. So let's say value. Yeah, so lovely. So copy and then paste. So we are good. I hope we all got that. I hope I was not too fast. So what I did was I combined two functions together. First, I substituted. After substituting, then I converted back to values. Because once you substitute, automatically it saves as a text. And that's what happened. And then I had to convert from text to values. I hope we all got that. I hope we were able to give it a try. Okay, so I'm usually very concerned when I'm doing revision and people are saying they don't understand. So what I'm actually doing is more of a correction. This was the assignment I gave yesterday. So if you don't understand, then most likely you didn't do the assignment or you're not part of the class or you didn't follow through during the class. So which of them is it? Did we attempt the assignment and we didn't get it? So what I'm actually doing is a revision. So I'm just revising what we did yesterday. Yes, so these are the things we actually touched on yesterday. We looked at the clean function, we looked at the trim function, we looked at the value function, we looked at the substitute function. Okay, so please, if you missed yesterday's class, that's why you don't understand. This is actually what we did yesterday, so I'm actually doing a recap. Okay, so I had an issue on getting the transaction time in the assignment. Transaction time in the assignment. Okay, let's look at it. Which of them is it under the clean? Transaction time. All right, thank you very much, Mohammed. Okay, so that was yeah, so that's how you convert. That's for the 2017 converting to 2019. Yes. Oh, the second assignment. Okay, all right. And now, so we'll still get to the second assignment. I'm still at the first point. Yes, so this is that was what we did. Therefore, this one, the first one is you can use trim. So if you trim, let's trim and see what happens. So when we trim, we're able to, so we can see that it's only applied to this. So in this case, remember I mentioned something yesterday when I told us to try and use the substitute. I mentioned that sometimes the trim function might not work. And most times this usually happens when you have a space or an excess space between two, what's the word? Two numbers. Yeah, so we have 2 and 5. So I've actually noticed that this happens from time to time. So that's why you always have the alternative of the substitutes. So let's use the substitutes now. Substitute, comma, so single space, then no space, and close bracket. So we can see that has gone off, and let's apply to all of them. Okay, so now we can copy and replace. So that's for the first part. So if we check again, we'll notice that we can see a semicolon. Sorry, I think I'm a little fast. Am I too fast for the correction? Let me just take my time, sorry.
Yes, you're fast, please.
Okay.
You're fast.
Sorry, okay, let me start again. Sorry about that. Okay, so for the correction, I said the first thing you were to do was to convert 2017 to 2019. So we're changing the 7 to 9. I said to do that, we can use the substitute. So we'll just replace 7 with 9. Using the substitute function, that will be equal to substitute right? Then select it, comma. What's our old text? What are we changing? We're changing 7, so that becomes our old text. I will put it in double quotes. 1, and then we'll put 7, we'll close it, comma. Then the new text is what do we want to replace it with, which is 9. So I'm going to put 9, and that is it. So changing 7 to 9. And we have it right there. So I said, if you notice, automatically it aligns to the left. Let me just be patient so we can, for those that are actually trying. So that's equal to substitute the text, old text, new text, and then we close our brackets. So what are we changing? We're changing 7, and we're changing it to 9. So equal to substitutes. So what are we replacing? In 2017, we want to replace 7 with 9 to change it to 2019. Can I move on? So can I get-
Yes.
All right, yes. Thank you. So that's it. So we notice it aligns to the left. So if it aligns to the left, what does that mean? What does it imply? Can someone else drop it in the chat? So when it aligns to the left, what is it stored as? A text. Thank you. So which means a text. Thank you. Which means now we need to convert it. It reads as a text. Thank you very much, Ada. So which means now we need to convert back to value. So I'm going to use value, the value function, to convert back to value. So enter. So now it aligns to the right, which means we've converted back to values. Is this fine? So that is equal to value, open brackets, and then you select the text. So once you've done that, then we can now copy it, Control C, go back to our year, right click, and then paste as value. Paste as value. And we've answered the question. So we replaced 2017 with 2019, and we can now get rid of this one. But I'm not going to remove it so we can still look at it.
Oh, wow. Hey, I've done it. Yeah.
So are we good? Can I say thumbs up if I can move on? So that's for the first question. All right, thank you, Samuel. So I guess we can move on now. All right. So that's for the first part. Then the second one is, I mentioned that we should clean this age. So looking at it, we can see there are several things wrong with it. One, it aligns to the left, which is the last thing we deal with, which means it's being stored as a text. The second is we can see some excess space. Some happens to appear before, like this one appears before. This one appears in between. We can see there's this one has a semicolon or a semicolon. This one also has like a little space between. Yeah, so we know that we can use the substitute and the trim function to remove excess space. So first, let's start with trim to remove all the excess space first. So trim. So now I want to remove the excess space, and we're going to use the trim function. So we can see it applied to 26. It's able to remove the excess space in 26. For 32, it removed most of the space, but it still left a single space for this 32. That's row 14. Yeah. And others are quite good in terms of looking at the trim. So what I did was to use trim to remove the excess space. So let's look at this. So it's equal to trim, open bracket, then I referenced G7. Okay, so that's for the trim, but looking at it, we notice that for 25, there's still a little space in between. And then the same thing for this 32. So we can use the substitute function to remove the space, just the way we did it yesterday. The classwork I actually gave yesterday. So we just use that. So we use the substitute function to remove this extra space in between. Equal to substitute. I'll select E7, comma. So what are we replacing? We're replacing the one extra space, the one space between 2 and 5. So I'll put it in double quote, which is double quotes, space, double quotes, comma. And what am I replacing it with? I'm replacing it with no space. So I'll put double quote, which means no space. Then close brackets. So that's for the single space between 2 and 5. And it also do the same thing for 32, 3 and 2. So it's shown on the screen, so you can just give it a try. Let me just say a thumbs up when we're done. So once we are done typing it or giving it a try, let me say a thumbs up so I can move on. All right, thank you, Cynthia. All right, so I think we can move on. And we can say that with this, we're able to remove the excess space from 25 and 32. So our data is becoming better, it's getting better, but I see a few things. So you can see there's a semicolon there. To remove it, it's almost going to be the same way we removed that single space. So we can use the substitute too as well. Equals to substitute, reference, comma. So I'm going to put it in double quotes, comma, the same way we did the extra space. So for those that do not have it, it will not apply to it. So see what I did, and then that will take care of the semicolon. So I use the substitute function to take care of the semicolon. So yeah, and then the last is now, so now it's looking clean. The only thing that is left is our data set is aligned to the left, the age is aligned to the left, which means it's stored as text. So now we need to convert to value. And that's the last thing we'll do, equal to value, select, and then close brackets and enter. And we drag down. So this is the final output of our age. And we can copy it and then go back and we replace as value. And we are good to go. And we can now remove. So I just converted it back to value, and then we can go back and paste as value. So I converted it to value, so it aligns to the right. using the function value, so equal to value, open bracket, G7, then close bracket. Did we get that? Sorry, if you didn't get it, let me know so I can come again. So with this, you are able to convert to value. So once you convert back to value, then you can copy. What I did was to copy, and then I replaced it with what was there before. Yeah. So you can see the different steps we had to take just to clean our data to get these final numbers. Someone said I should start again. Okay. Let me quickly, so I'm going to quickly run through it again for the last time. So please let's just pay attention. Okay, so this is basically our data set. You can see that there are some issues with this. We can't work with this. So let's say we want to add it together. Let me explain what happens. We try to add it. Okay. Let's say we want to add it together. See what to tell us. 0. Because it's not saying it as a number. It's actually seeing it as a text. So there are some issues with it. So in order for us to be able to Okay, so in order for us to be able to carry out computational analysis, like we have to carry out some operations with this, because with this we can easily find out, let's say we want to find out what's the average age of maybe the students in this class. It needs to be a number for us to be able to estimate the average. If you can't estimate average with a text, so we need to clean the data. That's where cleaning comes into play. Basically removing any undesirable. I think that's where I can define it, removing any undesirable. But the first we want to do is we want to remove the excess space. So you can notice that some of the numbers have excess space. So you can see 26, there's some excess space before. Between 3 and 2, there's excess space. Between 2 and 5, there's excess space. And I mentioned yesterday, one of the ways you can remove excess space is using the trim function. So first we use the trim function, which is equal to TRIM. So I go down and I click on tab. So once I click on tab, you can see equal to trim, open brackets. Then I'll select, close my bracket, and enter. So once I do that, I'll drag it down. I'll fill it. So you can see that for 26, for 25, nothing happened. For 26, the space in front was removed. For 32, the space in between was removed. But you see it left one extra space as well. But I mentioned yesterday that sometimes this often happens when you use trim. That's why you actually have the substitutes. So you can easily use substitutes to remove this space. So we can remove the space between it. So let me not be too fast. So this is a trim. So let me just wait a bit. So this is how you use trim, equal to trim, and then you select D7. The next is to remove this extra space, one space that is left between 2 and 5, and then also 3 and 2. We can use the substitutes. So that's going to be equal to what is for substitutes? Is that the spelling? Yeah. All right, so equal to substitutes, open brackets, then we have text. So I go to reference E7. I feel I should slow down a bit. Okay, so let me move on. All right, so equal to substitute E7, then comma. What do we want to remove? What we want to remove, what we want to take out is the space. So we're going to put it in double quotes. So we're going to put double quotes, space, then double quote. That's what we want to take out or we want to remove. Then we have our comma. So what are we replacing that single space with? We're replacing that single space with no space. So we're going to put it double quotes without any space. So what we're saying is we're replacing a single space with no space. Is that fine? Yes. So if we can move on. And then we close our bracket. Then I open another bracket. We close our bracket and enter. And we can drag down. So we can see for 25 and 32, that has been corrected. So you can also try the same thing for this semicolon. It's also the same way as well. Equal to substitute. So we're going to just equal to substitute, comma, for the old text, what we want to replace now is this semicolon. Double quotes, we're going to put the semicolon in between. And then double quotes, comma. So what are we replacing it with? Nothing. So which is double quotes, because we just want to take it out. And then close our brackets. So after that, enter, then you drag down. And then the last thing we did was to convert to value. So I said it's stored as text because it aligns to the left. Notice, because if we still copy this and we replace it, we realize that it will not add. And if we look at the error, you can see it's telling us that number stored as text. So we can actually just click and to convert to numbers actually. Yeah, but another thing is using the function equal to value. You can use value. And then close brackets, enter. So we've converted to value and then we'll come back, right click, and then we'll paste. So once we paste, we have our total. So that's basically how the different steps you take to be able to clean your data or to be able to answer that question. Yeah. And I can see someone asking, how do we convert 20? Okay, so can we hear me? It looks like some people can't hear me. Is it my network?
No, sir, we can hear you.
No, sir, we can hear you clearly, sir.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
I hear you, sir.
All right. So that's actually the answer to the question. And someone was asking, how do we convert from 2017 to 2019? So we use substitutes. So let me just quickly do that. So you can see it. That's equal to substitutes. You select it, comma, well, replacing 9. Now let's change it to 7, comma, 7. I'm sorry. Double quotes, 7, double quotes, close brackets. So that is equal to substitute. You select D7, comma, then what do you want to replace, which is 9? That's the old text, comma, then what are you replacing 9 with? You're replacing 9 with 7. For your own case, you're going to be replacing 7 with 9, which is the other way around. So we can see we've changed 2019 to 2017. So for that person that asked that question, I think that's endowed. Okay, how did we move the, okay, how did I move it to the column? So I copied it, copy, I went to B7, right click, and then I paste as values. So I paste as values. So it's showing you this error, right? Yeah, so it's showing you this error because it's stored as, once you use the substitute function, automatically it will store whatever information you're working with as text. So when that happens, all you just need to do is to convert it back to, what do you call it, to values. One way you can click on this and then convert it to numbers, and that applies. The other way is, so everything can convert. The other way is you can use the value equal to value. So when you select it, if you use the value function, you drag down and then you copy, you go back and you do the same thing and you paste as values. So you can use values to convert. So once it aligns to the left and you're showing like that error, what it's telling you is that it is stored as a text and you need to convert back to value. And doubt, is that okay? Did you get it now? Got this. Okay, all right, thank you very much. So that was the assignment for the first assignment that I gave yesterday. The second one was, one second, let me share my other screen. Oh, I put it. Sorry, one second. I'm trying to open the document. Sorry, the sheet rather. Yes. Okay. I've opened it. All right. So this is the. Can we see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay. So yeah. So this was the other assignment. I hope you all gave it a try. The assignment basically was to clean this data set, and then after which you should convert to. After which you should convert to a table. So yeah, so let's quickly run through this. So first, okay. So I'll try not to dwell on this because this is almost 6 and we've not started the class for today. So this was basically the assignment. So I said this is the data set that has been given in its raw form. There's some issues with it, and then we identified the issues. I said first, I mentioned that other IDs need to be unique. When you have, sorry, other IDs need to be unique, basically, but with the other ID, you can easily remove duplicate entries. So we can see this other ID, can see we're having duplicate entries here. So using the other ID, we can remove duplicate entries. So which means there's something that needs to be done with our data in terms of the entries. So we're having duplicate entries. So that's the other ID. Then the second is the date format. We need to change the date format. And I think I explained what to do. Then the third is, so for the product it was okay. The price was okay. Quantity, I mentioned that the quantity can't be in decimal, it should be in whole numbers. And I think I explained why. Like if you go to the supermarket, sorry, if you go to KFC and want to buy beverage or you want to buy fries, they don't sell 745.76 beverages, basically. Yeah, unless it's in quantity. Sorry, unless it's in weight. And this time it's not in weight, it's actually in units. That's how our data is supposed to be. So there's an error with this, so we need to approximate and change to all numbers, which I explained that you get to do as well. For the purchase type, there was no error with this, and one way to determine that is, let me, I'll show you how to determine some of these things. So most times the best way to determine it is with your filter. So I'm being so fast because of time. Yeah, but I'll try and just ensure that everyone is carried along. Yeah, so this is one way you can just determine if there's an error. So you can see that this is fine. So drive through, there are just 3 categories. So there's nothing wrong with the purchase type. For payment method, you can do the same thing, cash, credit card, gift card. So this is fine too as well. For manager, obviously, just looking at it, you know that it's not even fine. We're having some excess space. But when you look at it, you can see Pablo Perez appearing 3, 4, 5 times, which means Remy Monet appearing more than once, which means there's an error with this, and we need to actually clean the data. So for those that are just wondering how I got this box, just go to your sort and filter under your home tab. There's a sort and filter under home tab. Basically, with that you can, yeah, you'll be able to get your drop down. Yes. And then for city, okay, sorry, Mr. For city, you can see there are all unique entries, so it's fine. Berlin, Lisbon, London, Madrid, Paris. So we're not having any duplicates here. So yeah, so I think this is already clear what we need to do. So first, we need to remove all duplicate entries, basically. So I mentioned to remove duplicate entries, you go to your data, remove duplicates. Sorry, expand selection. So yeah. So first, to remove duplicate entries, we're going to be using only, I'm going to unselect. I'm going to only be using the order ID. If I can use all of them. So I think the only thing that will be different will be the serial number. So I can use all of them and then remove the serial number. So okay, the manager's name will also cause an error. So to be on the safe side, let's just use the order ID. Like I explained, it should be unique, so we can use the order ID. So we're using the order ID to remove the duplicates. So I think I was a little too fast. What I did was select anywhere in the table. Go to your data tab. Under data tab, click on remove duplicates. Under remove duplicates, on select all. So let me just wait a few minutes for everyone to give this a try. So I'm not too fast. Just in case you didn't get it. You didn't get the assignment. Get the answer to the assignment. Yeah, you couldn't do it. Okay, so I think I can move on. So after I unselect, I click on order ID. After clicking on order ID, I'll click OK. So it tells me that 8 duplicate values found and removed. In total, we have 254 unique values remaining. So I think that's great. Yeah, then after that, I know someone also suggested that we sort from smallest to largest. Yeah, so you can also do that as well. Just sort from smallest to largest. So we can do that. Yeah, doesn't really mean. Yeah. So next we have our dates. Let me clear. Okay, let me clear. Yes. So next we have our dates. For our dates, we can see that there's something wrong with the format. What I'll do is I'll first select everything. To select everything, I'll use Control, holding down Control and Shift. First, I hold down Control, then I hold down Shift, and then I'll use the arrow key down. So once I do that, to select all the dates, I'm going to repeat it again. I'm going to hold down Control on my keyboard. I'll hold down Control, and then I'll hold down Shift, and then I'll click down. That will select the whole row, and I'll change it to dates, short dates, and that should be fine. I hope we all got that.
No.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to undo. First, I selected on C2. Please, are you following me?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
that is noted. Sorry, JB's Empire. All right, so I'm going to recap. So I select C2, holding down Control on my laptop, Control. So don't look for Control, it's called CTRL on your system. So don't look for CTRL on your system. So hold down Control, and then hold down Shift. Hold them down together, not press. Hold it down. While still holding it, do not release your hand. You're holding down Control and Shift together. Hold it down. While still holding it down, press the arrow key down. It will select all the dates in that column. And it works for rows too as well. It works for both columns and rows. But in this time, we're dealing with the rows. So hold down Control, hold down Shift, and then press down. Do we get it? Did we get it?
Yes.
Yes, sir, we got it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then under your Home tab, go to, 1 second, this thing is just under your Home tab, go to where you have General, under Numbers, where you have General, change it to Short Dates. So change General to Short Dates. So change it to Short Dates. Change General, it was in General, change it to Short Dates. Is that fine? So do we get this?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I remember I also mentioned something as well. I think I mentioned that I also want to know the day that these dates fall under, what day of the week or what weekday. I think I asked for the weekday, but just for, I should come again with it. All right, no problem. So let me just convert this back to general. So what we did was we selected C2, Bethel, please, let's do this. C2, which is the date, the first date. I didn't select this column. I selected this, that's C2. Then I held down Control and Shift, which is to highlight, to select everything, the whole column. Control, Shift, and then down key, the arrow key down to select everything. Click on C2, holding down Shift and Control. I'll press down, the arrow key down, to select everything. Once it has been selected, I'm not clicking anything. I'm just taking my cursor straight to the normal format, the number format. I'm changing it from general. Look at where my cursor is. I'm changing it from general to short date. So I changed it from general to short date, and we have our date formatted the right way. Better, is that fine?
Yes, I understand it now.
All right. So yesterday I also mentioned that we should find the day of the week this date falls under. Oh, very good question, Ada. So Adana, that is your assignment. I think I actually mentioned yesterday, I'm not very, I actually don't know how that number comes about. I'm still trying to find out. If anyone knows, someone can actually share. I don't know how they usually estimate that particular number. Yeah, so basically, usually when it changes to general, it just comes up with a particular number. Yeah, that's what happens. So it's just like shown as general. This is actually the date. So this is the correct date. Yeah. So yeah, so for the weekday, I explained that you can use the text. So please let's watch so I don't have to come back 4 or 5 times. We still need to jump into what we have for today. So that's equal to text, equal to text, equal to text, open brackets. Please let's all listen and pay attention so that we can follow. I don't have to repeat it 3 or 4 times. Equal to text, open all together. I'm moving on. Equal to text, open brackets. I'll select C2. Equal to text, I'll select C2, comma, the format text, double quotes, equal to C2, comma, double quotes. Then we have D, double quotes. Remember, D stands for day, M stands for month, Y stands for year. So this time we want to get the day of the week, and we want it written in full. And like I mentioned yesterday, 4D stands for Monday in full, 3D stands for Monday abbreviated, which is MOD, 2D stands for the day of the week. It will give you the date in terms of 0, 7, and then if you put it 1, it will give you just 7. So that's the different breakdown. So 4 stands for Monday. Yeah, if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But if it's 3D, it will abbreviate it to like a MOD or TUES, whatever the abbreviation might be. And then if you leave it as 2, it will only give you the number. Yeah. So close your brackets. Equal to C2, comma, double quotes, D, and double quotes. I hope I won't have to repeat this again. I repeated it like 3 times and it's actually on the screen. So please, let's type it on our system and work with me. So you can see it shows Monday. And then I just guessed it was a Monday. I don't know, I knew it was a Monday. Okay, so we can see 8 is actually on the Tuesday. So 7th of November 2022 actually falls on a Monday. Yeah, and then we cannot do the same thing for all of them. So you can see basically it follows. Yes. I can hear a voice. All the person is not telling me to come again.
Hello, sir.
Yes, you can go on.
Okay, I actually I did not understand everything, so I was asking if the class should be repeated or maybe after the recording we can get the link because yesterday link was not posted, so I don't know because I'm not understanding anything now. I don't even know the topic we are into, so I'm just getting angry with myself already.
Okay. All right. So we'll actually post the recording. I think maybe going forward, I think it's more of a lesson length for us. I think we'll be posting the recording early enough. I don't think we should be waiting for us to upload it on YouTube. Like, yeah, I think it's one of the things I need to communicate. So people can actually go through the previous class before the next class. I think it's also helped me, so I don't have to keep repeating the things that have been said or have been taught before. But thanks for mentioning that duly noted. And apologies
Okay, because
for struggling.
yes, I was one that called you yesterday, told you that I will not be able to be available.
Yes,
So yesterday on and today, I'm just there, nothing. I don't understand anything.
no
Just I'm
problem.
like behind.
So the recording will be posted, and once it's posted, you can watch it. But just try your best to just follow through with this as well, so at least you can still get one or two things. Yeah. So when you're also watching the recording, the knowledge you've gotten from this class is also kind of helpful. But yeah, so let me just
Okay.
quickly, yes, all right, well done. So moving on, the next one for the weekday. So product, I mentioned that we have no issues, price, no issue. Then quantity, I mentioned that we should round up. So I'm going to insert and we're going to round up. And I mentioned that, sorry, the function for this is actually called round up, equal to round up. I want to believe some people had issues with this. Yeah, so equal to round up. So please, if you had any issue with this, just kindly just look up and let's watch. So that's equal to round up, then G2, comma, number of digits, which is 0, comma, and then enter. So you can see that it rounds up 573 to 573.0659. So it rounds it.
Sorry, sir. Repeat it again.
All right. Equal to round up. There are actually different types of round, not round down, not round up, and not round. If it is round, what will happen is if it's less than 5, it will round down. If it's greater than 5, it will round up. But if you use round down, it will round down whether it is greater than or it is less than. It will round down everything. If you use round up, whether it is less than or greater than, as long as there is a decimal point after, it will round up. So we're using round up. Then the quantity, comma. So the first one is the number, which is the quantity, which is G2 we're referencing. Next is number of digits. This number of digits is asking, so how many decimal places should we have after? So we don't want any decimal place. We want it to be a whole number. So that is 0. It's going to round up to the nearest decimal place. So by putting 0, it's rounding up to the nearest decimal place. So that's 0, and then we close our brackets and enter. Is that fine? So we drag down. So once we drag down, please watch. I didn't click on any other thing. After dragging it down, or after double clicking, Control C. The next thing I'm doing is I'm clicking on Control C, which is copy. And then I'll go to my quantity, right click, and then I'll paste as values. So I'm replacing it. I copied and I pasted as values. Can I move on? Is anyone confused?
Go ahead, sir.
All right, so after you do that, then you can now delete that column. So, and then next we'll have the next and the last, so the last is the manager. Sorry, that's this excess is the manager's name. So let's insert. So we're going to be using trim to remove the excess space. I guess this one was easy peasy for everyone. Just equal to trim and then enter. Copy and then replace. Is that fine?
Sir, please repeat it one more time, sir. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Equal to, remember, I want to remove this excess space. You can see there's some excess space between Tom and Jackson, Pablo. To remove the excess space, you use the function trim. It's equal to trim, the manager's name, close brackets, enter. You drag down, you copy, and moving too fast. Let me allow everyone to breathe. So did we get this? So we can say that all the excess space has been removed and it's now looking uniform. How we'll know is look at it. So you can see they're now unique values. Pablo, Perez, Remy, Monet, Tom Jackson, Walter, against what we had here, where they were just they were everywhere. We had names repeating themselves, Remy, Pablo, because of those space. Yeah, so we trim, they actually now, it now looks, it does remove all the excess space or any error that we'll be having in our column. Is this fine? So let's move on by pasting and replacing as values. So once we do this, then we can delete the column. Is this fine? So,
Yes, sir.
all right, so the last thing to now do is to convert to a table, which is Control T. Remember, click on any part of the sheet, Control T. My table has header. And then we are good. So this was what I told us to do. So this was the assignment that we were given. And with this, you're done with the assignments. And our data is formatted and it's ready for us to analyze. Yeah. So what I'll do is I was really hoping we'll talk about pivot table today. I wanted to introduce us to pivot table and also VLOOKUP and index match. But I think I don't want to rush us. I don't want to rush us. It looks like most of the class seems to be lost. I'll try and see how we can get the recording. I'll just try and see how I can get the recording. Sorry, ensure rather that the recording, you guys get the recording. So you guys can watch it and practice. Okay, let's take our time to learn these things. Sorry, for all these ones with the functions, please let's copy and also replace. It's always important, yeah. Before you analyze, you don't want to be having any, okay, any function. It should just be the data. Yeah. All right, so I want us to take our time, practice these things, understand it. because we're going to be talking about VLOOKUP, index match, and I don't understand the basics of some of the things we've done, it might pose a little bit of a challenge. You won't understand the benefits of pivot table. You won't appreciate the benefit of pivot table. Yeah, so please, all these things we've looked at, the assignment, let's go back and give it another try. So today, we're going to end the class early. I'm not going to rush us. Let's take our time, practice these things. Next week, we'll bring the whole class to an end. I'll try and quickly touch on VLOOKUP. So once we meet next week, I won't do any revision again. I'm moving straight into VLOOKUP and index match. So we have a full 1 week to go through everything. Attempt this assignment again. Let's revise it. On Saturday, I'll quickly touch on VLOOKUP, index match, and then I'll VLOOKUP, index match, and then we'll end with, we'll look at pivot table, and then I'll also talk about data analysis. Yeah, but also let me just try and okay, let me quickly touch on VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP is, people will be confused, so let's leave VLOOKUP for when our brain is fresh and when we understand these basics, these basic things we've actually looked at already. Yeah, so next week, we'll look at VLOOKUP and then we'll move on to the other things. Is that fine? What do we think? Or should we go on to VLOOKUP?
No, sir, by next week, sir. Thank you.
So I think we can go on
Sir,
with
let it be
VLOOKUP,
next
sir.
week, sir. Today network is too bad, sir, for us.
Okay, so I guess
Wait for it, sir.
Yeah, that's for me, sir. That's for me. I don't know about the others, but next week it will be better, sir.
Let's go on with it, sir.
Next week is fine.
All right, so I think let's do next week for the benefit of those that already finished.
Sir, please, how can I create a new column?
Oh, okay, very good question. So to create a new column, just take your cursor up. Can you see where my cursor is? So once you
Yes,
check
I can see it.
column, sorry?
I
Yes,
can see it.
you right click and then you click on insert. Did you get that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and it's always introducing a new column to the left. So you just right click and click on insert. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, no problem. Yeah. So at this time, is there any question based on the things you've said before I finally close the class or bring the class to a close?
Yes, I have a question, please.
Okay, please go on.
Sorry, when you do, like there's something you always do, especially when you do those equal to substitute text and all of those stuff. So is it Control Z you use to like go back to bringing out the formula? Because when I use Control Z, it just takes me back to the previous, it doesn't bring out the formula. It takes me back to the previous text or whatever that was in that cell.
Okay, so yeah, all I just do is let's say, okay, like this one where we had the equal to, I did text, values, comma, okay, so we have it abbreviated. So what I usually do is just double click. Do you understand? Just double click.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yes. So is there any other question?
Yes, sir. How do you get the time? You know, we've gotten the dates, we sorted the dates. So how do you get the time to know the particular time each transaction was made?
So if information was not captured in the document, in the cell, so in the data sheet, then you can't get it.
Okay.
Yes, unless maybe it was captured previously. If it was not captured, then you cannot extract it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The same way as we had a time for transaction. Yeah. So if it's Google Sheet, I know for Google Sheet, like Google Form, if it's Google Form, once you input an information, basically it captures both the date, the time, and the time of the transaction. Then we can easily split such information. Yeah, but for this is Excel. If we're not shared, if the client does not share the sheet that has both the date and then the time, you can't extract it. Yeah, you can't get it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Is there any other question? Anyone? All right. So if there's none, I want to say thank you, everyone. Oh, there was one more thing. I gave us one more thing. I told us to estimate the revenue. The revenue. I mentioned that we should calculate the revenue. So this is pretty easy. And I said the revenue is basically price times quantity. So that is price times quantity. Let's enter. So this is pretty easy. So we can just do this. But it told us to mention to estimate the revenue. So we can just take our time to do this. We can estimate the revenue. So remember, the revenue is price times quantity will give you the revenue. And in case you're concerned about how it's showing, the reason why it's showing like this is because it's a table. We've converted to a table. That's why it's showing in this format as with the square brackets. So no one should get confused. So yeah. All right, so thank you everyone. I'm going to save this file. So hopefully we'll see next week. I hope we actually learned one or two things from this class.
Sir, I was saying you just thought the SN after 8 is 6. I'll be right after 6 is 8.
Which one?
The SN column. Serial number.
Okay, well, I didn't correct
After
it.
6 is 8. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I've corrected it now. Is it fine?
So what did you do?
What did I? You didn't see, I just did it. What I did was I selected the two of them. That's 1 and 2, and then I double clicked.
All right, then. Thank you. I've seen it now.
Okay, all right. Okay, so thank you everyone. I think it was really a wonderful time with everyone. Thanks for joining the call. I hope we learned something. Remember, if you are having any challenge, please reach out and I'll try my best to respond as best as possible. Do have a wonderful evening and a wonderful week ahead. Bye everyone. See you on Saturday.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.